Hello and a warm welcome to this week's episode of The Real Talk Show. My name is Iga Kapambwe. I'm your host for this week. Super excited and apologies for starting quite late. However, as interesting as the conversation is, I'm super excited to be your host for this week. And our guest is Ida Mlala. And also joining us on the show is Memory Zulu, our sign language interpreter. Before we go on to delve into our conversation for today, allow me to introduce our guest, who happens to be Ida Mulala. But on top of that, I'd like to give her a chance to just introduce herself as well as greet you, our esteemed viewers, from wherever you're watching us from. Good afternoon, Ida.
Thank you so much, Eka. Thank you, Memory. Good afternoon to the audience. Good morning for some that are watching us from where it's morning, and good evening as well. Like Eka said earlier, my name is Ida Mlala Nonde. I work for a non-government organization called Treatment Advocacy and Literacy Campaign. I'm the HIV Prevention and Research Programs Assistant under the Coalition to Accelerate and Support Prevention Research CASPA project. And basically, my work revolves around HIV prevention, research, and policy influence in Zambia. I will end my introduction here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ida. Looking forward to the conversation with you. And today we are talking about PrEP. I think it's also very important to note that the youth platform and its partners have been, working around raising awareness on PrEP. This particular week, the campaign started. And if you follow our social media handles, you've pretty much seen that we have been campaigning and the conversation is around PrEP. So we found it fit that today we sit and discuss what PrEP is, what the benefits are, and some of the misconceptions that may be existing around PrEP. So, Ida, I've heard you've talked about being part of the research department, and people who do research mostly have a lot of information. So, I'm very expectant that this conversation will be very insightful for me and all of our viewers out there. So, maybe think the first things first. What is PrEP and how does it work?
Okay, thank you so much for the question, Eka. So PrEP, as Ega says, is pre-exposure prophylaxis. And pre-exposure prophylaxis simply means before you are exposed to any infection. It could be HIV infection itself. And how does PrEP work? So PrEP works by providing protection for an infection. So in this case, we're trying to focus on HIV. So PrEP works at protecting you from HIV. So how it works is it's basically going to go to the cells in your body that are part of your immune system that the HIV virus targets. It goes to those cells, the medicine that you take, which is the PrEP. It goes to those cells and basically just surrounds them and provides a certain shield around them that is going to be a protection, such that when they are exposed to the HIV virus, it can be in any means that you're exposed to the HIV virus. It can be sexual exposure. It can be in a situation where you are exposed maybe by a bite, or it can be you are stabbed or you got exposed to a deadly needle that was used on someone that is infected with the HIV virus. And it can even be just maybe there's an accident scene and you happen to touch there and you might have had an open wound. It can be through mother to child exposure. So once you are provided with the PrEP, if you at any chance you get exposed, the PrEP offers you protection. And PrEP comes in different forms and it's delivered in different ways. And we're going to do a deep dive on just understanding what forms that you PrEP comes in. So basically, the PrEP is providing you with protection. It's going into your immune system. It's covering your immune cells and making sure that when the HIV virus comes into your body, the HIV virus is unable to identify which ones are the immune cells to affect. So the HIV virus is going to die because the HIV virus cannot survive in your body minus attacking those specific immune cells. Those immune cells that the HIV virus targets specifically, where it can only survive in, are the ones that protect you from all sorts of infections. It's the type of immune cells that keep your immune system very strong, such that even when you are exposed to certain type of infections, it cannot the immune system is able to fight them. And one of the things that the immune system is supposed to protect you against is the HIV virus. So the HIV virus affects the immune system and makes it very weak. So by providing you with PrEP, we're able to provide your immune system with an assistant that can help it to protect you from acquiring the HIV virus, however way you can be exposed. Because it's often alluded that it's just sexual exposure, but there are many ways that you can get exposed to the HIV virus. You can even be a nurse that's working in the site, and then you prick yourself unknowingly. And if you are on any PrEP, it can provide protection. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much. Just by the first answer that you've given, I can tell that you're well invested in the topic, and I'm very certain that even our viewers out there can see that. So if you're watching us, wherever you're watching us from, and you want to be part of the conversation, you have a question, you have a contribution, remember how we do it. Just be part of the conversation by clicking in the comment section. Let us know what you're thinking. If you have a question for us, be part of the conversation. Join us and let us know what you are thinking. Now, Ida, in your answer, you've pretty much brought out what I would term as the first part of it's like an answer, like to the question that I was going to ask you. It sounded like a misconception that could be surrounding PrEP and also even HIV infection. So, what could you delve a little bit more in what some of the misconceptions around PrEP could be, and how could we
thank you so
possibly
much.
dispel them? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for that question, Ika. It's often there are so many misconceptions around what PrEP is. It's often thought in the community that PrEP is just given to people, maybe to sex workers, or PrEP is just given to people who have got different partners, or PrEP is just it's for promiscuous people, or PrEP is just given to people who are sexually active. Those are the different kinds of misconceptions. But also it goes as far as people presuming that when people are taking PrEP, they are likely to be infertile, meaning they'll have a challenge with having babies, or PrEP is being given so that they reduce the population in the country. There are so many things that are being said. But like I said earlier, PrEP is being given to people, number one, who want, to people who feel they are at risk. For example, I'm going to give a practical example of myself. I was trained as a registered nurse, and I used to work in a health facility. I used to inject people that I don't know, whose status just right there, and then there would be accidents, there would be emergencies that would have to attend to, and you quickly just want to be hands-on and save someone's life. So meaning I was being exposed to the HIV virus each and every single day, each and every single minute, and I needed to have a method that I could use to prevent HIV. And using PrEP was a method that would work for me, such that in an event that even maybe it's at the road, I don't have gloves and I need to help with delivering a baby or doing something, I know I'm taking PrEP and I am protected. So in the community, people think of PrEP in different manner, and which I earlier mentioned. And I think one of the ways we can dispel this myth is helping people understand that, number one, HIV infection is not just means you are having sex. It doesn't mean that you are promiscuous or you're a sex worker. That's why you're getting PrEP, or you're trying to protect yourself from getting infected with HIV. There's a newborn baby who is born with HIV. They are a newborn baby. They were not having sexual intercourse. They were not helping anyone at an accident scene, or they are not injecting drugs. They're a newborn baby. So those are some of the misconceptions that are there. And I think one of the ways we can dispel them is providing people with accurate but simple information around what generally pre-exposure prophylaxis for HIV prevention simply is. And that means having different sessions at the outpatient department, at the OPD. Beyond just talking about nutrition at the OPD, talk about HIV and get to talk to people more about HIV, but also following people where they are on social media. We can dispel myths and misconceptions. We can literally listen to what people think is, and then analyze what the situation is, and then give them brief answers of what could be. I believe these are some of the ways we can dispel misconceptions around PrEP, but also ourselves as peer educators, as healthcare providers, we need to be equipped with proper information around what pre-exposure prophylaxis is, so that we offer proper information to our clients that we meet every single day, not just in the healthcare setup, but even our family members, our friends, in the relationships that we are in, and even in the community as well, helping people understand that if an accident happens today, you will not think about preventing HIV. The first thing that you think about is getting your hands there and helping someone. And so you have automatically been exposed. So maybe if you are found in those scenes all the time, how do we help you with protecting yourself? So those are some of the ways that I think we could use, but most importantly, providing simple languages, simple information with people, for people to be able to use, and ensuring that we are including everybody, and that includes persons with disabilities. Ensuring that we are following adolescents and young people to where they are. Are they at school? Are they at home? Are they in colleges? Are they in boarding houses? So that they are equipped with different kinds of information. The same way we're able to dispel certain myths and misconceptions around HIV in general, HIV treatment, we can do the same with pre-exposure prophylaxis and HIV prevention as a whole. I think I'll end there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ida. This is very insightful. And I think that I'm not the only person who, maybe even as a partner, as a brother, who is getting so much out of what you're saying. But for now, allow me to maybe check out our comment section. I'm told it's buzzing, so let's get to see what our audience thinks about this particular conversation, and I'll get back to you, Ida. Clara Tumelo is saying, I'm happy and watching from Rufunsa. Thank you so much. So glad to know that Rufunsa is tuned in as well. Please share with friends and family. Chichike says, great topic, Chulupia Aida Mulala. Love your work. Oh, there you have it. People love what you're doing, Aida. Please keep up and keep on doing your best. Faith Malambo says, I'm so excited about today's show. Thank you so much, TYP, for always feeding us with the necessary information we need as young people. Big shout out to you, Faith. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you back on the show next week. Enjoying the show, watching from England. Thank you so much, Faith. I hope that England is not somewhere around Lusaka or Zambia. But yeah, thank you so much, Faith, for tuning in. Thank you for that particular comment. Now, Ida, I get back to you, and you've talked about some of the benefits and how we can dispel some of the misconceptions. Now, let's talk about it. Is there some form of eligibility criteria for me to be able to access PrEP? Do I need to be of some age? Do I need to have certain things in place before I can be able to access PrEP? How is it like? Is there anything like being eligible to access PrEP?
Thank you so much for that great question.
And also, while you're answering that question, while you're answering that one, please add how maybe those who would want to access PrEP can access it. I'm so sorry for cutting you short.
No, it's okay. It's great. So like Edgar said, so what he means by eligibility simply means what qualification or what can make it easy for healthcare providers to give you PrEP. Okay. So number one, so in Zambia, we've got different laws and regulations that would allow a person to get PrEP, because so it could be age. Number one, we look at the age. You would be in certain circumstances, you would be 16 years old and above, depending on the circumstance. But most of the time it's 18 years old and above. So in terms of age, that's what it is. But number two as well is circumstance and risk. So there's what we call risk for HIV. We would assess, are you at risk of acquiring HIV infection? Number one would be, are you sexually active? Do you know your HIV status and that of your partner? Are you certain you and your partner are remaining faithful to each other? And based on your responses on that would make you eligible to getting pre-exposure prophylaxis. But sometimes you as a person, you have so much knowledge and you understand that, you know what, my status could change anytime. My risk could change anytime. Oh, sometimes it could be that, are you a healthcare provider? Or number three, sorry. Could you also be perceiving that I've become sexually active now and I can never be too sure about anything, but also my circumstances could change. I could be involved in an accident anywhere. I could be exposed to a dirty needle somewhere or anything. And so I need to protect myself from HIV. But what people need to understand, that the risk for everyone is what determines the eligibility criteria as well. We don't just look at sexual or sexuality or sexual activity of a person anymore, because we were focusing so much on the sexual activity of a person. We are forgetting about healthcare providers who have been exposed to the HIV virus in different ways. We are forgetting about policemen and women who have to carry bodies at accident scenes all the time. And that's why the eligibility criteria has increased. So when you meet your healthcare provider, you get to be exposed to an assessment too, and you have a great conversation with the healthcare provider. And the healthcare provider is going to assess you and see. And you yourself, as well as an individual, you also need to know if you are at risk of acquiring HIV. Based on your life circumstance, okay, and that is what's going to make you eligible to get pre-exposure prophylaxis. And also looking at where you can get pre-exposure prophylaxis. There are so many places where you can get pre-exposure prophylaxis. You can get them at your local healthcare center. You can go to the clinic. They have an art department, which is the ART. And I know most young people will not want to go to the ART department, but if you're not comfortable, you can go ahead and go to the outpatient department in the screening room and inform the healthcare provider that you'd like to get pre-exposure prophylaxis, but you're not comfortable going to the ART department, and then you can be provided with the pre-exposure prophylaxis right there in the office of the healthcare provider that is attending to you. But we also have youth-friendly spaces now in different health facilities where adolescents and young people can go to and access pre-exposure prophylaxis. You'll find peer educators and healthcare providers who are trained, and they'll have a great counseling session with you. You assess risks together. You have a conversation and put down some things that would potentially require you to need to get pre-exposure prophylaxis. But we also now have non-governmental organizations that are running Facebook pages where they're able to link people to healthcare services on HIV prevention, such as pre-exposure prophylaxis. One practical example I can give is you can check them out on Facebook. They are called Ascend Futures Foundation. If you feel you need pre-exposure prophylaxis, you can inbox them, and then they'll ask you where you are, and then they can link you to a healthcare provider where you can get PrEP. We have community centers located right in our communities. You will never know that a salon could be a center where you can get condoms or PrEP. All you have to do is get to someone, and then they'll connect you. You don't know that one of those shops in the community or even in the market is a center where you can get pre-exposure prophylaxis. For example, we've got Circles of Hope. They are everywhere in the market. You can get pre-exposure prophylaxis. But we're now even having organizations like Sambat who are trying to see if they can create a digital platform where people can order pre-exposure prophylaxis, and it can be delivered to them at their doorsteps once they have gone through the eligibility criteria and the risk assessment, and they've done the right test. Because before you can get your PrEP, you need to undergo HIV testing, which is part of the service package. It's very important. Don't think when people are trying to test you for HIV, it means they are trying to stigmatize you, or what are they looking for, because you just can't tell me by word of mouth that you want PrEP. I need to test to see, are you really HIV negative? Because being HIV negative is one of the key eligibility criteria for youth to get PrEP. And there are different types of PrEP. Like we've got injectable PrEP, which is injected. We've got oral PrEP, which is given, which you take orally. So like for example, in Zambia now we have oral PrEP, which you have to take a tablet every day, and you have to be adherent for it to work properly in your system and protect you from HIV infection. We even have injectable PrEP, which is called cabotegravir, which is injected every 2 months and also protects you from HIV. And we're hoping to have other forms of PrEP where we could have a ring for girls, a deep-covering vaginal ring for girls to use as a pre-exposure prophylaxis method. We could even have a pill that would be combined with another drug for preventing STIs, so that you are able to kill two birds with one stone. Because HIV prevention is comprehensive, you also have to think about sexually transmitted infections, because oral PrEP and the injectable PrEP can only protect you from HIV and not these other sexually transmitted infections, and even pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy for adolescent girls and young women and the general population. Thank you.
You are cooking. You need some more space. You are cooking, Ida. You are cooking. This is very insightful, and I like how well invested you are in the topic. I like how you have so much, and to the people out there, everybody that's watching, now is the time for you to share this post, because these are the things that a lot of us young people need to know. But most of the time we pretend to know. Most of the time we want to look like we know these things when we actually do not know the accurate information that we are supposed to know. But you don't have to worry. That's why we're here. That's why TYP is bringing you the real talk, where such important issues affecting our community are getting to be dealt with in such an accurate manner. Now, Ida, you've talked about the preventive work that PrEP does. Now, tell me if this PrEP is meant to be used as a substitute for condoms, or do I need to use condoms while also taking PrEP? Does that mean that if I'm taking PrEP, there's no need for condoms, or I could do both? How does it work? Tell me more about that.
Okay, thank you so much, Edgar. So there's what we call combined HIV prevention methods. Okay, where you combine oral PrEP or injectable PrEP with another method in order to have like double the protection. So you can use when you're using the injectable PrEP or you're using oral PrEP, you can use condoms. It's okay. Even if you're using maybe the ring, you can use condoms, because what will happen is when you're using oral PrEP or injectable PrEP or the deep-covering vaginal ring, which is for girls, the DVR ring is for girls, while an injectable PrEP and oral PrEP can be used by both men and women. When you combine it with the condom, you are protecting yourself from sexually transmitted infections such as syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and whatnot, but you're also preventing unwanted pregnancy. So you're killing so many birds with two stones now. So it's okay for you to use oral PrEP or injectable PrEP in combination with condoms. It could be male condoms or even female condoms, depending on what you want to do. But the most important thing is you understanding what you actually want to do for yourself, because it's your responsibility as a person. So if you know that, for example, I'm a nurse, aside from being exposed occupationally at my workstation, I'm also exposed sexually. And aside from that, maybe I want to prevent STIs as well, and I want to prevent unwanted pregnancy. So while I'm receiving oral PrEP or injectable PrEP for all sorts of exposures, because remember, I want us to understand that HIV transmission is not sexual only. It's no longer about the sexual activities. It's about so many other ways of being exposed. I could protect myself from unwanted pregnancies and other sexually transmitted infections, because when you keep on getting sexually transmitted infections, the chances of you getting HIV as well become high. So yes, you can use condoms with any HIV prevention or pre-exposure prophylaxis option that you're using. The important thing is about you having a choice, knowing yourself, and understanding what we call combined HIV prevention methods.
All right. Thank you so much, Ida. Thank you so much. I think I'm learning a lot. I'm not going to leave this show the same. By the time I'm going out there, I'll probably be able to hold a focus group discussion outside with my housemates and just let them know about what PrEP is. And I think this is a call to everybody that's watching, to everybody that's getting this important information. Let's not only sit on platforms like this and listen to the information, and after immediately we're done, we close our gadgets and forget about this information. It's being given to us for our benefit. It's being given to us for us to be able to live right in the ways that are being given here. So you've talked about the different types of PrEP. You also partly touched on the need for awareness on PrEP. You partly talked about this. Now I'd like to take you back a little bit and just maybe see what role can we play, maybe even as young people or different key stakeholders, who are the key stakeholders in the conversation, and what roles can they play in raising awareness on PrEP in their various communities?
Thank you so much, Edgar, for that. I think one of the ways, number one, is we need to lead by example to ourselves and be true to ourselves as well. It's one thing for me to be a peer educator and providing information to the adolescents and young people and not me practicing it for myself as well, because it all starts with you. It's all about self-care. Okay, if you've identified that you are at risk, you now start looking for preventive measures that you can use, because the more you use preventive measures on yourself, you actually be able to give tricks and techniques to people on what they can do. Maybe, for example, if you're using oral PrEP and you've been experiencing challenges with adherence, and you feel like ever since you started listening to that one particular song, you always remember to take your oral PrEP, you will be able to share that information to other young people. So number one, it starts with you. Or the role to play is you being true to yourself and being able to identify that the fact is I'm also at risk, so this is what I'm going to do for myself. But another important thing as well is for us as young people and decision makers is to leverage on the opportunities and the resources that we have. So it starts with our social media platforms. We need to share as much information as we can on our social media platforms on HIV prevention. Personally, my WhatsApp is used for counseling people on PrEP, or on HIV treatment. My TikTok, I follow different kinds of pages where they are talking about HIV, and I'm going through the comment sections to see what questions people are asking, and I always respond to all those comments. And the content creator doesn't even know me. Those people, they don't know me, but I've taught myself this is one of the responsibilities I have and the roles that I have is to dispel myths, but to also answer certain questions, because people have questions while they are taking, they experience certain side effects, and they just need someone that they can ask a certain question and that person can clarify. So that's one of the roles that we have. And another important thing is the role that we have as young people and also as decision makers. We need to read more about HIV, because the information is changing and it's getting updated every single day. So having backward information that just the same that you had about a year ago is not the same that we have now. As peer educators, as young people, as people that are getting educated, you need to read more. You need to find sites where you can read. Go follow Facebook pages that are providing information about PrEP. They're having Zoom calls at the TYP. They're always having these shows weekly and they're providing information. And you need to follow them so that even in your youth-friendly spaces, you are talking to people, you are raising awareness. And as decision makers, people, they need to follow the science on HIV prevention. You need to know what is the latest. What do the young people want? What do the general population want? What are the myths and misconceptions? What's new? We can give a practical example of COVID. There were so many myths and misconceptions about the COVID vaccine. And it's because we did not do our roles as healthcare providers, as peer educators. We did not do our role to ensure that we prepared people in the community to say, this is what's coming, this is how it's going to work. We just brought vaccines and started giving them, and then they were rejecting them, and vaccines were not even working, they were not going back for boosters. It's because we didn't do our role of raising awareness through our social media platforms. We were too busy trying to share that it kills instead of sharing that it could actually help with controlling the COVID-19 vaccine virus. And we saw how it shut down our entire lives. Some of us didn't get married during the COVID-19. We couldn't go to abroad in our schools. You know, you got a scholarship and they tell you can't go anymore because there's COVID. Why? We didn't do our role properly. And we need to do this in terms of HIV infection. And most importantly, as young people, we need to be ready to be mentored. We need to be ready to listen to healthcare providers, get instructions on how we can do this, how we can raise awareness in our communities. But we need to also be very kind to the people, to the target populations that we are going to. When someone is constantly asking you a certain question about PrEP or PEP or whatever, don't get irritated. They just want assurance from you. Sometimes we ourselves as young people, we mock people. Just because someone has come to the youth-friendly space, they actually have information they would like to get, or they have questions. You are mocking them. 1 minute you're a peer educator when Copper Rose or TYP or Ascend Futures Foundation comes to the youth-friendly space. The minute they leave, you are the one at the health facility that is dragging people, that is mocking fellow young people. We need to be very realistic about these things and talk to people. Ask people what is the challenge that they are facing and how can we provide them with solutions. And the same goes with our healthcare facilities. But as young people, we need to change the status quo for HIV prevention. We need to tell decision makers what we want to see, because we are the experts of our own realities. We know what is affecting us. When we get into these decision-making platforms, please let us not focus on sipping tea and taking selfies. Let us focus on following those presentations that they are giving and then asking them the questions. Let us focus on understanding what they are trying to present and tell them, you know, here what is going wrong is you're not doing this and this. What is happening in our health facilities is this and that. I think those are some of the roles that we have to play. We need to change the policies. Currently, we have the age of consent policy that has dragged for so many years. And I keep on saying, we, the young people that are affected, we've not done enough to stop these people from giving us the no, traditional leader said this, they are not okay, the parliamentarian said this. Parliamentarian, they don't know what is affecting us as young people. There was recently there was a Child Code Act that was disseminated, and we didn't even know how it was disseminated. We didn't even know what is in the content. Now this is when we are reading, when the law has been already passed. So now it has dragged us so many steps backwards. It's because we are not following the policies. I think we need to do better as young people, so that all the policies are not meant to harm us, but they are meant to protect us. The law is not for the state, the law is for the people. We are the state, the people. And so if the law is just trying to protect the so-called image of the state, but not protecting the people that are affected, then we ourselves as young people, we are failing ourselves. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Ida. Thank you so much. You're cooking. You can go on and on and on and on and just inspire so many people. But before, as we're winding up, we're getting towards the end of the show. Let us maybe check out what our audience is saying for the last time. We get to see what is being said before we close the show. Coretta Nkosha is saying, lovely show. Thanks, Ida, for the well-articulated information. Thank you so much, Coretta. And a big hand to you, Ida. Faith says, what happens if you take PrEP and you're HIV positive? How does PrEP differ from PEP? All right, please take note of that question, Ida. From Faith Malambo. Mumba Florence says, if I am under 18, do I need my parent consent before getting PrEP? Okay, that's an interesting question. And then Faith says, how long should one take the pill for them to be fully protected? I was going to ask you this question, Ida, because you talked about adherence and whatnot. I was actually going to ask, is there a specific period of time in which I'm supposed to take PrEP for me to be fully protected? So you have those three questions. I'm begging that you maybe answer them in a minute each. I've already been tipped that we're very much behind time. So please go ahead, Ida. You're muted, Ida.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really quick. I'll start with Florence's question. If you're under 18 and you need to take PrEP, you need to seek the consent of the health of your parent or your guardian and present it to the healthcare provider. But if you go without the consent of your parent or your guardian, the healthcare provider will assess your risk and then will make the decision whether to provide you with the pre-exposure prophylaxis that you need with or without the consent of the guardian, but with following strict guidelines according to the HIV prevention and treatment guidelines that are provided in Zambia. And then going to first question, the first one, is PrEP different from PEP? Yes. PrEP is post-exposure prophylaxis, and it's given once you've been exposed to the HIV virus. It can be in any method that you've been exposed, like I explained earlier, while PrEP is like the pre-exposure prophylaxis. If you are HIV positive and you take PrEP, what happens? So the same drugs that are being used for HIV treatment are the same drugs that are being used for HIV prevention. The difference is they are just different in dosages and the combinations. So you find that maybe a PrEP drug, they've just used two, and then they've used small dosage for protection because there's no the HIV virus that needs to be treated in you. So you will be taking the same drug, but then the only thing that will happen is that the drug that you're taking, the PrEP, when you're HIV positive, is not enough to protect you. It is not enough to protect you against the HIV that is in your body because you're now living with HIV. And that could cause the problem because you could develop resistance because you're just getting to a little amount instead of the adequate amount that you need. But what happens is you find out you're HIV positive and you're taking PrEP, will now give you the right amount of drug and dosages and combinations that you need to be on HIV treatment, and so that you're able to live a high quality and productive life, because nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change. And looking at how long does it take for there to be protection, like I said earlier, with the oral PrEP, you need to take the oral PrEP consistently in the first 7 days. The first 7 days, both male and female, you take consistently so that there's enough amount that is circulating in your body. Should you be exposed to the HIV virus, they'll be able to the immune cells would have received the correct amount to be protected enough. That's what you need to make sure to do before you can feel that I'm protected. Before you can consider yourself to be protected, you need to check for oral PrEP. You need to check in the first 7 days consistently. Every day you take your pill. And then when you look at maybe injectable PrEP, that will happen in the first 20, after you've been provided the injection, to happen in the first 24 hours. And the same applies with the dapivirine vaginal ring, which is for girls, to happen in the first 24 hours. So after receiving, you might want to use either condoms, or you might want to wait before you can indulge in any activity that you feel is likely to be exposing you to the HIV virus. I don't know if I asked all the questions.
And how long does the protection last? Say if I take PrEP for 7 days, how long does the protection last? For how much longer am I protected from HIV?
So those first 7 days doesn't mean you have to stop. You have to continue. So for example, for oral PrEP, you have to continue taking each and every single day for protection to last. Okay, you have to take. It means taking for a whole year. As long as you feel you are at risk and you're on oral PrEP, you have to continue. For injectable PrEP, you take for every 2 months. You have to be adherent to make sure that you're going for your injection every 2 months. The first 2 injections when you start will give you 1 month, then we'll continue with the 2 months. The dapivirine vaginal ring as well, if you've inserted it, it will work for 28 days only. That is 1 month. You go and remove it, you go and insert another one. As long as you feel at risk, you have to consistently be going back every month to go and remove and insert. Injectable, you have to be going back every 2 months to get it. Or a PrEP, you take every day, you take your pill each and every day to remain protected.
Right. Thank you so much, Ida. We could go on and on with the questions. We could go on and on with this particular conversation. It's been interesting. Trust me, I've learned so much, and I honestly wish that we could carry on. I wish we could delve deeper into the conversation. But I think some of the most essential information has been given on this particular show, and I'm not the only one, and I'm saying this also in behalf of our audience. You have really empowered us today. You've empowered me, and you've empowered everybody that's been part of the conversation. And I'm looking forward to this campaign continuing. I'm looking forward to a lot more information being dished out insofar as PrEP is concerned. This has been an amazing time with you, Ida. I don't know if you have any last words, but this is where we're ending the show. Just kindly indicate by raising your hand if you do.
Okay. Thank you so much to the audience. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. You can follow me on Facebook, which is at Chilufia Ida Mulala. That's on Facebook. You can follow me on LinkedIn, which is at Ida Mulala. And on Facebook as well, my work reflects on Ascend Futures Foundation Facebook page, and also the Treatment Advocacy and Literacy Campaign Facebook page. Same with LinkedIn, you find us. And TikTok, it's Ascend Futures Foundation. Instagram is Ascend Futures Foundation. You get to learn more about us, and you can get to text us. But because we offer so many things, we have a mentorship program for adolescents and young people going on so that they become effective advocates in the community. But most importantly, what I would like to say is you are your own responsibility. Take care of yourself. If you feel at risk, don't hesitate to go to any healthcare facility. If you feel you're so scared, go ahead and inbox Ascend Futures Foundation, and we'll link you to a healthcare provider that will be very nice to you, because I know sometimes we think about these people are going to judge me, but we'll make sure that we link you to the right healthcare providers. Otherwise, everybody is loved. Youths are important people, and we need to remain healthy for our country to thrive and develop economically. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. I've been your host, Iga Kapambwe. Memory Zulu has been a sign language interpreter. There you have it. That's our guest, Ida Mlala Nonde Chilufia. So many names, eh? Interesting.
I
All
know.
right. Thank you so much to everybody that tuned in. Thank you so much to you, our participants, our audience, whether you commented or not. We appreciate. Have an amazing afternoon. Enjoy responsibly. Remember that you are your own responsibility, as Ida said, and the decisions you are making have good consequences. So even as you're celebrating over the weekend, today might be the right day for you to start taking PrEP, so that you start keep putting it in your system. And remember, just make the right decisions, whatever you do. Enjoy your weekend. This has been your host, Iga Kapambwe, with love from TYP. Good afternoon and amazing weekend.
Bye.